Hello and welcome to Digital Nation, your weekly collection of news and entertainment from the UK's local TV channels. In this week's show, we check out a beachcomber's exciting find in Sussex. We investigate the changes happening in a 200-year-old observatory overlooking Edinbrough. And we try to find a home for a friendly hound in Cardiff. And you can contact us using the hashtag #DigitalNation. Our first visit this week is to Swansea, where a mural has been created on the outside of a local building. Street art has the ability to divide opinion as to whether it's graffiti defacing public property or a valid artwork. Will it stand the test of time or be washed away by the weather? Only time will tell. It's a building that is owned by the Housing Association Coastal that I work for, and downstairs there's a theatre company. We've got some art studios with Elysium, Volcano Theatre downstairs, and there's an organisation called Elysium upstairs. And then on the front is a mural, if you will, by an artist called Pure Evil, also known as Charlie Uzzle Edwards, who came down recently 3 weeks ago and painted that over a couple of days for us. If you know Pure Evil's work, it's part of a series that he does called Nightmare, and I think, yes, in terms of that's kind of a loose connection with the area, because she married a bloke from Pontrhyder Fen, but a lot of his work these days is done in his gallery in Shoreditch. And to see him working was interesting, because he did sketch it out on a piece of paper. It was literally measuring and chalking and then colouring in. Mainly people really like it, and I think we're not here to kind of cause trouble or stuff, but there's a debate which is happening. I was interested recently because there was last weekend there was a piece in the Observer and on the Guardian online. It's all about how art is kind of restarting the heart of High Street or whatever the headline was, and there's debates around gentrification and stuff like that, but ostensibly at the moment this is being powered by a housing association who are not in the business of gentrification and pushing people out. So it's very much we're using anything we can to get that debate and to change the area in a positive way. I would say generally people like it, and it probably won't be there forever anyway, so we'll see how it develops. Now, we all know that a dog is for life and not just for Christmas, and some lucky canines will be going to a new home this year. But spare a thought for the ones that for some reason no one wants. In a Cardiff dog's home, one particular dog just doesn't seem to be able to find that special owner despite every effort.
Yeah, she's been here for, like I said, over 6 years. She has had 2 homes in the meantime, but unfortunately for Sarah has been returned twice for no fault of her own. So in and out for 6 years, yes.
Oh wow, well I can't imagine that, because I've been playing around with her for a little bit now, and she seems like such a lovely dog, great temperament. Yeah. It's a bit surprising that someone hasn't kept her at home. I know, yeah. It's unfortunately it was owner ill health the last time, so again no fault of her own. And I just think she just gets overlooked because black dogs tend to struggle in kennels, and I don't know why, because I think she's absolutely beautiful, but she's just she's on the rehoming block. People get to see her, loads of people come through the doors, but she just hasn't had any interest. Okay, so what kind of things are you trying to do then to try and promote her? We take her places, we video her, we put her all over the website, we put her all over social media, we do pictures all over her kennel front. She's got a floor sticker in reception. We are really trying to push with her pictures and everything, just get people to know her, and people just one person to spot her who says yes, she's the one for me.
When you were young, did you ever wish you could tell your teachers how to run the lessons? Because they were so much older than you and just didn't understand? In Leeds, one school took the bold step of allowing their 6th form to do just that for a day, and Made in Leeds went along to assembly.
The school day here at Chapel Allerton Primary began this morning like any other, the pupils filing in class by class to the main hall for assembly. But today, not every student took their usual place on the floor. A select few took to the stage to lead the school for one day.
So it seems like in this school lots of people want to help each other.
With assembly over, the youngsters began filing out, ready for a one-of-a-kind day of learning. All doing so under the watchful eye of caretaker head teacher Miss Hilton, a girl with a lot on her plate to worry about. Earlier in the morning, I'd called to try and secure an exclusive interview with the new headmistress.
Good morning, headmistress.
Good morning. I'm really quite busy today, so it's going to have to be quick.
I fully understand. I'll try not to waste your time this morning.
Thank
Can you
you.
please tell me all about the assembly that you planned this morning?
Well, it was all about helping people because it's a really good thing if you know how to help someone, because one day you're going to need it back in return. Since we're children teaching other children, we kind of understand more how they would feel since we're their age, and it's just a really good experience for the children who are being taught and the children who are teaching.
In the rest of the school, the hard work of teaching was getting underway. The selected Year 6 pupils leading Year 1 classes, helping them master the basics they'd perfected over the past 5 years, as well as bringing their own unique perspective to primary education.
Bring more fun to lessons so that they learn but in a fun way. So it's not just like the same old, like do this and then do that, but like you could like bring more fun, like games and stuff for them to understand more.
The new teachers certainly had their hands full today, and of course the adults were keen to claim some share of credit for a successful day.
Leeds City Council supports this takeover initiative. We've done it for the last 3 or 4 years. We're very keen that children get the opportunity to experience the world of work. So we've got children who've been in the office today, children helping with behaviour work.
Hey! Stop talking to the camera, that's my job!
It takes a special kind of person to take in a stranger to their home, and more so a child. One couple in Lancashire have dedicated their lives to being there for children who need a home and someone who they could trust. Now, after 37 years, they've decided to have a little time to themselves.
Already a family of 4, George and Joss have opened their doors to an extra 241 children here in the county.
These kids haven't had a lot of happiness in their life, and they might only be here for a week or a fortnight or a month or whatever. And you try to make it as nice as for them. And also the argument really is like you're getting them used to something they might never have again. But you can always say they've had it.
Even with a house full, or at a time of year that can be stressful for any family, there was always room for one more at the table.
We just wanted to make them happy and give them what your kids had got, and they were lovely. Never been disappointed with anybody that's come through the door.
With 20 children coming through the system a week, Lancashire County Council are in constant need of foster carers, and these two will be a tough act to follow.
A couple that are probably irreplaceable. But what I'm hoping is that people watching this will just feel that little bit of inspiration. If they've been even considering it, this news piece might be the thing that says, do you know what, I will pick up the phone, I will have that conversation with the county council, and you never know where it leads.
I would say to anybody, just get involved. You know, you might find it as rewarding as we have found it. That's all I can say.
And if you see children, they're having a good time and laughing at some, you've got it cracked. That's it. What used to be sadness to them, they think, we're having a laugh at this and a laugh at that, and they're enjoying life, and that's what it's about.
There's a group of buildings overlooking Edinbrough that forms part of the skyline. Finally, after 200 years, the Royal Observatory is being restored to its former glory and open to the public. But not just as a way to see the universe, but also as an art gallery to view things more down to earth.
Well, this site was used for the study of astronomy. This building has a telescope upstairs and had 2 large telescopes downstairs. 2 of those will be retained and will be an exhibit for the public to see when the building is opened. But this building's never really been open to the public. The whole site hasn't been open to the public, so that's going to be quite a shift from the sort of 200-year-old history of the building.
It's an amazing site. As you've seen today, it's got such history, it's had such a place in Scotland's history, and particularly about kind of pioneering new thinking. So in its day, it was one of the most, I suppose, leading kind of scientific institutions. And it's amazing that we're going to bring an art gallery into this kind of context, because of course artists help us see the world differently. And so it's a really lovely new purpose for this very, very historic building and site.
I think as an artist, it's important to feel that art has a place within community and society so that it's not marginalised. It is important that there's good spaces that people look to and enjoy. This part of the city is quite strange to me. It's interesting and lovely to come for the view and to have picnics, but you wonder what's been happening with the buildings. And so to have the collective gallery developing and making the buildings here functional again and to be enjoyed by the public and the whole of Edinburgh and the whole of the world comes to Edinburgh, I think it's really great. It's like a perfect fit. It's really exciting.
What else is going to be built on the site?
So obviously the existing buildings are all to be restored, but the new additions are going to be, when you come in at the east gate, there'll be a new welcoming kiosk point. And then we'll also be building a new contemporary gallery space for the collective gallery into the hillside to the north of the City Observatory. And then the main addition that people will see from around the city is the new restaurant building, which will sit on that empty corner that we talked about in the sort of historical evolution of the site.
For me, I'm delighted that it's happening, and I think that the council here, the City of Edinburgh Council and the funders and the gallery itself have brought together quite an amazing project. We should all be really very excited to see what happens.
And that brings us to the end of part 1 and time for this week's quiz. On the London Underground map, which line is coloured yellow? Is it A, the District line, B, the Circle line, or C, the Bakerloo line? Get your ticket ready and we'll tell you the answer after the break. Welcome back to Digital Nation. Before the break, we asked you, on the London Underground map, which line is coloured yellow? And the answer is B, the Circle line. Voted as one of Britain's top 10 design icons, the current London Underground map was designed in 1931 by technical draftsman Harry Beck. You may remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV drama? Well, since then, the popularity of the vampire genre has increased massively, but back in the 50s, no one was quite sure what was fact or fiction, and a group of children in Glasgow's Gorbals decided to take matters into their own hands when a rumour of a vampire with iron teeth was circulated.
Glasgow's southern necropolis is also known as the City of the Dead. But in the 50s, it was the scene of an event that caught the imagination of the world and led to a change in the law of Britain. Rumours had spread that a 7-foot vampire with iron teeth had already killed and eaten 2 local schoolboys. Now, you might think any ordinary child would run a mile, hide under the blankets, but not here. Not in the Gorbals. They were made of much sterner stuff than that.
Gorbals artist Tommy Smith was 6 years old when he joined the search for the vampire, and he remembers it vividly.
So you believed there was a vampire?
I did at the time.
Aye. You actually made your own weapons as such. Did everybody? Let's have a look at what you did. I mean, because I know you've been recreating them.
Tomahawks there. And to say it was whatever piece of wood you could find.
But it was basically any weapon that you guys could lay your hands on?
Yeah, it was only something to defend yourself with a vampire.
Most kids then and any other time, if they'd heard there was a vampire in the graveyard, they'd have run a mile. But you never.
It was like being at Hampden or something. Not with the crowds. It really was. Because a lot of people stood at the gate, they wouldn't go in.
The story hit the headlines all over the world, but no one ever figured out where it had come from. Why were the children of the Gorbals so sure the southern necropolis had its very own vampire?
At this stage in the 1950s, American comics came about. It was a whole new genre to these kids. They didn't really know what American comics were, or horror. So I think the kids that were in the Gorbals were a lot more impressionable, and if you think about it in our day and age, we've got access to the internet and different images, whereas in the 1950s you didn't have access.
But even in a lot of the schools, I think it was St Francis, the priests actually got everybody out in the playground and he told them, I don't want to hear talking about vampires.
I think it's because it's such a tight-knit community in the Gorbals, and people always seem to have their connections here. So I think the story lives on through the people.
To Oxford now, and arriving at a top hotel, one of the first members of staff you meet is usually the concierge, and should you want anything in particular during your stay, the concierge will be your first port of call. So Inspector Morse would have been proud that the representative from his favourite hotel in the city has been voted the best in the UK.
The head concierge of the iconic MacDonald Randolph Hotel has been crowned the UK's youngest concierge of the year. William Thompson will now represent Great Britain at the Society of the Golden Keys.
I'm still flabbergasted, really, to think that I actually got through. Really, it was some very stiff competition. The people I was against in the final are good friends of mine, so London-based concierge, and it's a massive honour. You know, I'll give it my all and try and do Great Britain proud.
General Manager Michael Grange nominated William for the award.
I think the whole of the team are so proud of him. You know, it was quite nerve-wracking because he was up against some very, very stiff competition, a lot of big London five-star properties. I think there were about 6 or 7 people who were nominated or shortlisted, and as I said on the evening, my goodness, my tummy had sort of butterflies, and I'm certain William's even more.
Judges observed William as mystery shoppers to ensure he was worthy of the award.
We just do our day-to-day job, which is to ensure that the customers arrive happy and that they leave happy. We cater their whole experience. You know, a lot of them are first-time visitors, so it's down to us to ensure that they capture as much as they can with the precious time that they've got. Every day is a different challenge, but you embrace it. You know, it's what we love about the industry. You're either passionate about this industry or you're not, in my eyes. You know, if you give 110% and you know, you haven't really succeeded in our role unless you've made a difference to someone's day.
Time for Creative Kingdom now, and have you tuned your radio in correctly?
Who gave the world its first radio station? Some claim that it was Guglielmo Marconi in 1895, but the signal only went as far as his back garden. Others point to the swathe of American stations at the turn of the century, but they were mainly in Morse code. No, if you're talking about a station that regularly broadcast music and talk, you have to go back to 1920, to a village called Writtle in Essex, a station called 2MT, and an engineer called Captain Peter Eckersley. He worked for Marconi at his nearby wireless factory, but in the evenings, he transformed into the country's first DJ and the first newsreader, and he even sang when he ran out of records. The broadcasts became so popular that sales of crystal receivers in the area rocketed, which led to the formation of something called the British Broadcasting Company in 1922. I wonder what happened to that. Proof once again that when it comes to creativity, innovation, and being the cat's whiskers, it's Writtle Mint.
Living in a foreign country where you don't have any friends who speak your language or share your beliefs can be a daunting experience. In Belfast, one community team is using art as a means to join disparate ethnic groups and create a common bond for them all to share.
Our purpose is to support the ethnic minority communities in the borough, to integrate into society, and looking at ways in which to make this integration possible. So one of the ways, of course, is to get people together to participate in any of the activities that is being run in our borough, and today is a perfect example. So we have our communities from Romania, from Poland, from France, from India, and all of them are here today to take part and meet each other and have a wonderful time.
Sometimes I am happy to meet somebody who speaks French, so I can practice my French and Spanish as well, because I love speaking Spanish. And
when you're new to a place, it's very difficult to meet people, it's very difficult to make friends. So workshops like this bring people together and give them the opportunity to enjoy something apart from learning a new skill. I think for us it is about inclusion and about, you know, just having fun and meeting people. And then these friendships that they form in the workshops carry on beyond the workshop. So there is somebody when you're walking down the street who will say hello to you.
Every city likes to boast it has the best Christmas lights, and they all vie for the biggest stars to switch them on. Brighton seems to have pulled out all the stops this year, with not one, but 3 celebrities pressing the switch. Let's hope they don't have to search for that bulb that's blown before they switch them on.
I'm very happy to be invited to sit on Brighton's Christmas lights. I love Brighton. It's a really tolerant, happy, positive city, and Peter Andre wasn't available, so here I am.
And what we've tried to do is have a good few messages which are all about Christmas, joy, peace, love, happiness. But then there are other messages in there which are just about being in Brighton.
To be on the Brighton stage again after 18 years, absolutely amazing. The feeling, you know, Brighton's such an electric place, isn't it?
And about 5,000 people out there, you know, it was kind of like, or was there 10? Was there 10? I mean, there might have been
10, there could have been 15, there might have been 20, might have been 30. It doesn't matter, but the vibe of Brighton is electric. I came down here 20 years ago. Jason told me about Brighton. He told me how amazing it was. They love music lovers, so it was great to be here. It's such a privilege to turn on the Christmas lights.
When I looked out and there was a sea of people's mobile phones shining their lights at us, and then when the lights come on and to see them, this is the first year they've been like this, isn't it?
10 years ago, Brighton won a national competition to have the worst Christmas light in the country. This year is certainly aiming for the best.
How many times when you've walked along a beach have you picked up a rock and just hurled it into the sea? Well, think how many fossils could have ended up back in the waves. One beachcomber had the presence of mind to research his find, and Cambridge paleontologists were thankful he did.
In 2004, fossil collector Jamie Hiscox was trawling the beaches in Bexhill, Sussex, when he found an unusual looking rock.
The unusual nature of the fossil was really appreciated by Martin Brazier. When you look at the endocranial cast, your eye is caught by sort of smooth, slightly dimpled structures that flank either side of the top of the fossil. And that just looks unusual. It's not sort of rough and porous. It's smooth and rather interestingly textured. And your eye is caught by it and you can't help pick up a hand lens and sort of have a look at it more closely. And I could recognize the shape of this thing, and I realized it was an endocranial cast. So once you realize it's the cavity where the brain sat, then obviously the mind starts to click into ideas about, well, could these be something to do with the brain?
Subsequent scanning revealed the brain was similar to that of a crocodile because it contained membranes known as meninges. Such detail is rarely found on land-roaming dinosaurs because of the decay caused by oxygen. Dr. Norman hopes that in the future, paleontologists will study fossil remains more closely for other material besides the bones that could reveal much, much more.
And that's it for this week. If you want to watch any previous episodes, you can go to the BBC website, bbc.co.uk/digitalnation. Or why not log on to the website of your own local TV channel? So until next time, goodbye.